Did you know that 70% of people feel anxious about making small talk? It's true. Most of us worry about awkward silences and stumbling over our words. Yet mastering the art of small talk can open doors you didn't even know existed. In fact, good small talk can boost your career, build lasting friendships, and even make you happier. Imagine walking into a room full of strangers and leaving with valuable connections and a newfound confidence. Sounds amazing, right? The best part is, you don't need to be a natural extrovert to make this happen. With the right strategies, anyone can turn small talk into a powerful tool. In this video, we'll dive into 12 unique tips that will transform your social interactions. From cracking the ice with a killer opener to using humor to win people over, we'll cover it all. We'll explore how to handle awkward moments gracefully and read body language like a pro. Plus, you'll learn how to leave a lasting impression every time. Get ready to unlock the secrets of small talk and turn every conversation into an opportunity. Let's make your social interactions not just easy, but truly enjoyable. Chapter 1. Cracking the ice. The power of a great opener. Starting a conversation can feel daunting, especially with strangers. But here's the thing, it doesn't have to be. A great opener is like a key that unlocks the door to a good interaction. Studies show that the first 7 seconds of meeting someone are crucial. They form a lasting impression. That's why your first words matter. So what makes a great opener? One strategy is to comment on your shared environment. If you're at a conference, a simple, "This event is really well organized, don't you think?" can get the ball rolling. Another approach is to use humor. A light, funny remark can instantly break the ice. In fact, a study by the University of Kansas found that humor is one of the most effective ways to connect with others. But let's not forget about the power of a sincere compliment. Compliments that are specific, like, "I love how you've styled your hair," can make people feel seen and appreciated. According to How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, one of the quickest ways to make someone like you is to offer genuine praise. Lastly, always introduce yourself. It sounds basic, but a simple "Hi, I'm your name" can do wonders. Research from Harvard University shows that using your name and asking for theirs builds an immediate sense of familiarity and trust. Chapter 2. The Listening Edge. Mastering the art of silent communication. We've all heard that listening is key to good communication, but are we really doing it right? Listening isn't just about hearing words. It's about understanding the message behind them. Experts say that 93% of communication is nonverbal. This means body language and tone play a huge role in what's actually being communicated. One strategy to master listening is to focus on what isn't being said. Notice the speaker's body language, eye movements, and even the pauses. These cues can tell you more than words alone. A study by the Journal of Nonverbal Behavior found that people who are good at reading body language are perceived as more empathetic. Another technique is reflective listening. This means paraphrasing what the other person has said to show you're paying attention. For example, if someone says, "I've had a tough day at work," you could respond, "Sounds like it's been really stressful for you." This not only shows you're listening, but also encourages them to open up more. Also, resist the urge to interrupt. It's tempting to jump in with your thoughts, but giving the speaker time to finish their point shows respect. Stephen Covey, in his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, emphasizes that most people listen with the intent to reply, not to understand. Flipping this mindset is key to mastering listening. Lastly, maintain eye contact. But don't overdo it. Too much can feel intense. A good rule of thumb is to hold eye contact for 3-5 seconds at a time. This creates a connection without making the other person uncomfortable. Chapter 3. Mirror Magic. How to reflect and connect. Mirroring is a powerful tool in social interactions. It's when you subtly copy the other person's body language, tone, or even speech patterns. The beauty of mirroring is that it happens naturally when people feel a connection. But you can also use it intentionally to build rapport. Start with body language. If the person you're talking to is leaning forward, try leaning in slightly as well. Studies show that mirroring body language increases the feeling of trust and empathy. A classic study by psychologist Albert Mehrabian revealed that nonverbal cues are 4 times more impactful than words in shaping perceptions. You can also mirror their speech patterns. If they're speaking softly, lower your voice a bit. If they're using lots of gestures, feel free to use your hands more. But remember, mirroring should be subtle. Too much can seem insincere or even mocking. Another technique is to mirror their emotional state. If someone is excited, match their enthusiasm. If they're calm, dial down your energy. Daniel Goleman, author of Emotional Intelligence, points out that our brains are wired to sync with others' emotions, a phenomenon known as emotional contagion. Lastly, don't forget to mirror their level of formality. If they're using formal language, follow suit. If they're casual, relax your speech. This subtle alignment can make the conversation flow more smoothly and create a stronger connection. Chapter 4. The Curiosity Code. Asking questions that spark interest. Asking questions is an art, and when done right, it can turn a simple chat into a deep conversation. But not all questions are created equal. The key is to ask open-ended questions that can't be answered with a simple yes or no. This encourages the other person to share more about themselves. Instead of asking, "Did you enjoy the event?" try, "What was your favorite part of the event?" This slight change invites a more detailed response and keeps the conversation going. Research from the Harvard Business Review suggests that asking follow-up questions, those that dig deeper, makes people feel more valued and understood. Another strategy is to tap into their passions. People love talking about what excites them. If you know they're into a hobby, ask them how they got started or what they love most about it. According to The Like Switch by Jack Schafer, asking about someone's interest can significantly increase their positive feelings toward you. Avoid questions that feel too invasive, especially early in the conversation. Instead, start broad and get more specific as the discussion progresses. For example, "What do you enjoy doing in your free time?" is a great opener. If they mention reading, you could follow up with, "What's the best book you've read recently?" Lastly, show genuine curiosity. People can sense when you're asking questions just to fill the silence. Be genuinely interested in their answers and let the conversation flow naturally from there. Chapter 5. Humor. Hooks. Using wit to win people over. Humor is a social superpower. When used well, it can make you more likable, break down barriers, and even diffuse tense situations. The trick is knowing how and when to use it. First, it's important to gauge your audience. What might be funny to one person could be offensive to another. So keep it light and steer clear of controversial topics. One effective strategy is self-deprecating humor. This means making light-hearted jokes about yourself. It shows humility and makes you more relatable. Research published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that people who use self-deprecating humor are often seen as more approachable and trustworthy. Another approach is observational humor. This involves making witty comments about the current situation or shared experience. For example, if the line at a coffee shop is moving slowly, you could say, "I think I'll have time to write a novel before we get our coffee." It's a simple way to connect over something you both notice. Timing is everything in humor. A well-timed joke can enhance the conversation, but poor timing can lead to awkwardness. According to the Humor Code by Peter McGraw, the best humor is often unexpected but not out of place. It should feel natural and not forced. Lastly, don't overdo it. While humor is a great tool, too much can make it seem like you're not taking the conversation seriously. Strike a balance and use humor to add flavor to the interaction, not to dominate it. Chapter 6. Subtle Shifts. Transitioning from small talk to big conversations. Small talk is important, but at some point you'll want to dive into deeper topics. The challenge is making that transition smooth. One strategy is to build on the small talk. For example, if you're discussing the weather, you might say, "This heat wave reminds me of the time I visited Arizona. Have you ever been out west?" This shifts the conversation from the surface to something more personal and interesting. Another technique is to share something about yourself first. Vulnerability invites reciprocity. If you reveal a bit about your thoughts or experiences, the other person is more likely to open up as well. Brené Brown, in her book Daring Greatly, emphasizes that vulnerability is key to forming deeper connections. You can also use what psychologists call bridging. This involves taking a small detail from the conversation and linking it to a bigger topic. For instance, if you're talking about a new movie, you could bridge to a discussion about the film's themes or the impact of cinema on culture. Ask open-ended questions that encourage deeper thought. Instead of asking, "Did you like the book?" ask, "What did you think about the book's message?" This invites a more substantial response and signals that you're interested in a meaningful discussion. Finally, pay attention to the other person's cues. If they seem engaged, keep going. If they start giving short answers or seem distracted, it might be time to circle back to lighter topics or wrap up the conversation. Chapter 7. Name Game. Personalizing your interaction for maximum impact. Using someone's name in a conversation is a small gesture that has a big impact. People love hearing their own names. It makes them feel recognized and valued. A study from the Journal of Experimental Psychology found that hearing one's name activates a unique response in the brain, making the interaction more memorable. Start by making sure you remember their name. If you're bad with names, try repeating it a few times during the conversation or associating it with something familiar. For example, if you meet someone named Lily, you might think of the flower. This simple association can help the name stick. Once you've got it, sprinkle their name throughout the conversation. But don't overdo it. Using it too often can feel unnatural. Dale Carnegie, in his classic book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, advises that a person's name is to them the sweetest sound in any language. So use it to create a connection. Another tip is to personalize the conversation by recalling details they've shared. If they mention they have kids, you could say, "How are your kids adjusting to the new school year, Lily?" This shows that you're not only listening but also care enough to remember. Finally, if you meet someone new, make it a point to introduce them to others using their name. This reinforces your memory and makes them feel included. It's a small step that can leave a lasting impression. Chapter 8. Timing is everything. Knowing when to speak and when to pause. Timing plays a crucial role in social interactions. It's not just about what you say, but when you say it. One key strategy is learning to embrace pauses. Many people feel the need to fill every silence, but pauses can actually be powerful. They give your words weight and give the other person time to process. For instance, after making an important point, pause for a moment. This not only emphasizes your words, but also invites the other person to think before responding. Research from the Harvard Business Review highlights that strategic pauses can make you appear more thoughtful and confident. Another aspect of timing is knowing when to jump into the conversation. Don't rush to speak as soon as the other person stops talking. Take a moment to consider your response. This shows that you're really listening and not just waiting for your turn to talk. You should also be mindful of the timing of your jokes or remarks. For example, making a joke during a serious discussion can come off as inappropriate. Timing is everything when it comes to humor, as mentioned earlier. Lastly, be aware of the overall flow of the conversation. If the topic is getting stale or the other person seems disinterested, it might be time to gracefully shift the subject or bring the conversation to a close. Paying attention to these cues can help you navigate social interactions with finesse. Before we move on, hit subscribe and let's dive back into more great content. Chapter 9. The Compliment Puzzle. Crafting genuine and memorable praise. Compliments can be powerful tools in social interactions, but only if they're genuine and well-crafted. The key is to be specific. Instead of saying, "You're great," focus on something particular like, "I really admire how organized your presentation was." Specific compliments show that you're paying attention, which makes them feel more sincere. It's also important to focus on effort, not just traits. Complimenting someone on their hard work or creativity is often more impactful than saying something about their appearance. Carol Dweck's research on growth mindset, outlined in her book Mindset, The New Psychology of Success, suggests that praising effort encourages people to keep improving and striving for excellence. Another strategy is to compliment the person on something they may not hear often. Everyone likes to be appreciated for their unique qualities. For example, if someone is always calm under pressure, acknowledging that can make them feel truly seen. Studies have shown that compliments related to one's character or behavior are more memorable than those focused on superficial aspects. Avoid over-the-top compliments as they can come off as insincere. A good rule of thumb is to keep it honest and modest. People can usually sense when a compliment is exaggerated. According to The Art of Conversation by Catherine Blythe, a well-placed, genuine compliment can strengthen social bonds and increase mutual respect. Finally, don't forget to smile when you give a compliment. A smile reinforces your words and shows warmth. Research from the University of Kansas found that smiling can reduce stress and make you appear more approachable, which enhances the effect of your compliment.